beside me. And I was like, you think I didn't try that already, man? I think I go up to a door and be like, well, I don't know how this works. Advice. No. I'm not a very fit guy. I'm trying to go to the gym a lot more because I want to get ripped and fuck sluts, right? Some people didn't take that sarcastically, okay. These two really weird character traits make it hard for me in a place like the gym because I'm really over-apologetic and I'm generally very nervous around women, but I'm also super creepy, right? So those don't work out. Like one time, this girl was attractive, so I stared at her for like a minute, and she caught me, so I was thinking what to do, and I went, ah! And I ran. Go-to. I don't get many dates with girls, because it is kind of hard to get dates when you look like the personification of the internet. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah!
If the internet was a thing, it would be my body. I'm not too happy about that. Why are you sweating? I walked here. It's hot out. Lay off. So there always weird problems with girls. I hope no one else has this problem, but I'm always afraid to show my penis to a woman for the first time. Because I feel it's a big moment, but I always end up screwing it up doing something stupid, like, oh, jeez. Ta-da! Smallest one, you know, the showmanship I can get, you know, guys? I don't know. Having a small penis sucks because it even affects everything about my life. Like, one thing I can't send on my picture of my dick to a girl. A dick, just any dick. Here's someone else's dick. Why do you have this? I'm a weird guy. It's a weird first date. No, I can't send my picture to a dick, my dick of my girlfriend because it's just not. Here it is. Like I can't take a picture and be like, be inspired or whatever. I don't know what you would write under it. So every time I do, I have to use like angles and fun frames to make up for it. Like every time she gets a picture of my penis, it's like looking up at us if it's the CN Tower, so it adds a lot of height to it. It says like "Happy Birthday" across the top. Makes some magic, you know. I don't know. I did lose my virginity at 23, but I'm 26 now, guys. So whatever. That is fucking 6 months of pounding puss, boys. Okay, no one took that sarcastically at all. Sweet. That's cool. What was I gonna tell you guys? Is it okay if this is gross now? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Good. Don't say that. That is the beginning of a lynching, everybody. Get her done. Let's kill some black guys. That's probably what you I told him not to say it. I didn't say, like, yeah, let's do it. Like, that would have been weird. Get your pickup truck on stage, bud. That took a weird side turn, but we're gonna just Men in Black that. Didn't happen. That's cool. Even when I'm good at sex, I end up fucking things up somehow. Like one time I was thugging her, right? I was thugging her good, and she pulled out, and I came, because I like doing that, you know? See how much I made, you know? Look what we did on your stomach. Couples activities. And I never really got that feeling of like hitting a home run and really getting a hold of one when I was a kid, but now I think I totally know what that feels like. Because I came and I was like, wow, there's a lot more than I thought there'd be. And I was like, oh, that's going right for her face, isn't it? And that can't reach her face, because I'm her boyfriend. I'm some guy who can be like, haha, I came in your face and steal into the night. Or something, I don't know what you do. So one thought keeps going through my mind. It's like, catch Dylan, catch it. And the other guy's like, what? And then like, catch it, catch it. So I went up and I tried and I caught it. I caught it right in my hand and it was gross, guys. So gross. And I'm going like, ew! And I went off balance and elbowed her in the face. And when I see someone after that, I was just like, ta! You in the mood. Plus, when we first started going out, I sat her down. She sat me down. She was like, Dylan, I have to tell you something. I'm into really kinky sex. And I was like, I have had sex 4 times. Can I like walk before I run, please? And it leads me to my only real point I have this evening, is I think they should teach more applicable stuff in sex ed class when you're growing up. Because some of you guys might already know this, but I kind of learned it in a weird way, is that like sex choking turns into real choking very quickly. And apparently, like one time I was choking her and she was like, stop! And I was like, that's not the safe word. She didn't laugh. Women, you are a box of riddles, aren't you? I'm gonna tell you a couple stories. I'm gonna leave here. This is funny. This is actually. I'll tell you a story. The first time I was ever on stage, I was in a band. We were really shitty. I knew that because people were throwing beers at us. And not like we're finished our beers, I guess these guys suck. Like fucking half full, like $5, I hate this fucking kid. And just throwing beers at us. And well, we're getting beers thrown at us, and I was like, thank you, good night. And and then I looked down next to my left foot, and I saw a used tampon. Oh! And then I looked up, and this girl on the high-rise was going, "You fucking suck!" And like yelling at me. And I was expecting to see like her friends be like, "Ew!" or something, but they were still like, "Yeah, she's fucking right. You suck." And I was like, "What?" Because that means that's just what that girl does when she's angry. You know, like, what an awful woman to be around. How do you take her anywhere? Like, well, that soup is horrible. What odd threat she must give people. Like, I'm coming back in 20 days. 20 days. I'm glad I'm not a virgin anymore. Most obvious statement ever made. Basically, the one thing, I'm just glad I'm not treated like a charity case anymore, because my friends used to drag me to strip clubs, and I hate going to strip clubs because I don't know what vibe this gives off, but I am catnip to strippers for some reason. And it's never wants to come up to me and like ask me for a dance, and I'll go away if I say no. It's always really weird ones for like $50. I'll shit in that box, mail it to your mom. Why do you think I'd like that? I got a lap dance too once. It was the most awkward moment of my life. Everything was going okay until this girl's big finale, which was that she put her foot above my head, spread her vagina completely, and then just looked at me for approval. Like right dead in the eyes. And I didn't know what to do. I got nervous. I was like, yeah! Hey, thank you very much, guys. I'm a Dillo guy. Have a good one.
At the show, Mick has some merch, and he signed some stuff. It's free if you buy something, he'll sign it. Dylan, pictures, and autographs for $50. So, it's your fucking choice, but whatever you want. If you want a fucking guy with a boot, not the cool kind. Dylan, I have similar things to Dylan in my life. Like, I feel like I did better with girls maybe a little bit quicker, but like, I feel a lot of times like I was one of the pioneers of trying to fuck girls on the internet. I was like the Christopher Columbus of internet perverts. I did that a long time ago, way before you could webcam a girl. You had to, if you wanted to show me your tits, you had to take a Polaroid of your tits, get it developed, and then scan it on your dad's scanner. That's how long ago that was. There was no Facebook to be like, oh, you had to go to chathouse.com and look for the girl with horny in her screen name. And you couldn't find out information about her. You had to ask her ASL. Like, it was like a good jerk off to a girl's bra size. That's all you needed, 34B, and you got it done. So, I feel like more people connected to that than want to admit. Now I don't watch any porn really, because my girlfriend says that watching porn is emotional cheating, which, as all the guys in the room know, when you're watching porn, you're using your emotions. That's nothing. You want to watch porn and be like, I could just talk to that girl all night. There's a girl I want to bring home to my dad. Because my dad loves a girl who will eat a jawbreaker on another girl's pussy. Every time I see a 10-1 gangbang, I'm like, finally, a girl who can hang out on guys' night, you know? I just want to be able to introduce a girl and be like, we love to sit down, but right now her asshole looks like a sand trap at the British Open, so we'll just stand. That's like the dirtiest golf joke you'll ever hear, just so you know. Why not the Masters? Because the British Open has huge sand traps. Indeed, says the one golf fan. Not a big crossover section, golfers to wrestlers. So, my girlfriend is actually Kate. I shouldn't say her full name, but she's Edge's cousin, professional wrestling superstar Edge's cousin, which still didn't mean I could fuck her to Edge's theme song, unfortunately. It's weird no matter what, especially when you're fucking like, spear. Didn't go for it. You try, but I'm an ass man, still works. So, still no Mick, eh? Making that look like, can I bring him on a Mr. Ass Man comment? That was my first question to Mick, by the way, when I met him. I was like, what did Billy Gunn think of that song? I'm wondering how many of you remember what Billy Gunn's fucking... All right, fair enough, but the one guy nodding, being like, yeah, it said I love to lick 'em in the theme song. It was fucking weird. So when I moved to Toronto, I had my car broken into, and we had a video camera stolen, which I used to record my shows, and also may or may not have contained a video of me fucking on it. Not a good video by any means. Very one camera setup, sort of kind of first thing you do when you get the camera is just me hunched over and I'm like checking to make sure it's on. It's not the porn debut I was looking for, really. Because you know somewhere it's on the internet titled Guy Lazily Fucks Girlfriend. It's got 1 star and there's some guy just blasting it in the comments section. Which is ridiculous that there's a comment section on porn now. Like, we can actually criticize something that we're masturbating to. Like, that's, I would have fucked her much better. Well, you're in your parents' basement, so probably not. No. Now I just watch YouTube conspiracy videos. I have a fucking real problem watching like, oh man, there's fluoride in the water. You know what I mean? So, but you gotta watch them with a grain of salt, because people who take YouTube conspiracy videos too seriously, it's like the same way we watch professional wrestling. It's good fun to get you through your day, but if you think The Undertaker's real, you're probably retarded. It's not fucking... Anyone who thinks the government is watching them is always the last person the government would always fucking watch. You know what I mean? Like, they care what you're doing in your basement apartment. They don't give a shit, like... Because conspiracy theories are always a good way to explain away your shitty life. You know, it's like, the Illuminati denied me a promotion at the call center again. Like, that girl won't fuck me because of the New World Order. Like, no, you're just awful. She would have never fucked you to begin with. The real conspiracy here is why you haven't showered in a week. The New World Order is a funny term, not the wrestling New World Order. That was a perfect term. But, you know, the conspiracy New World Order is, man, there's so many jokes that I should have done on this fucking tour that I've written and been like, you know what, non-wrestling people will never get this. Can you see if someone see if Mick is hiding behind his door waiting for an intro? Because I don't want him to have to walk all the way up the stairs when I go, Mick Foley's here, and then fucking have to just come up the stairs and then be out of breath. He's thrown himself to a lot of tables, guys. It's a little physical fucking exertion that he can do while he's doing comedy is for the best. So, no one's gonna check for me, eh? Just gonna have to fucking hope and I'm Dylan, is he there? Yeah, all right. Let me finish this joke and shut up. I'm still on stage. Fucking here for me still, assholes. On that note, I have a DVD you can buy after the show. But the thing with the New World Order, let me get this through, and not the Hogan, Scott Hall, incarnation, is that it's a fucking dumb term. Because if you fear the New World Order, that means you think that the old world was really great. You know what I mean? The old world, where the king could just fuck your wife. That was a power he had. He could just enact the I get to fuck your wife clause of 1818. And you had to be like, oh, good, please. Like, and go to town and show her who's king. You know what I mean? The way to stop them was to form a new country and go to war with them, which is how Portugal started. Otherwise, you had to let them in and bake them raspberry scones, or you could just steal your whole farm. I feel like that was a weird way to end. Who gives a shit? You're not here for me. You're here for this man. Again, I can't reiterate how much this is fucking an honor for me. You get into comedy, don't awe. That's sweet in you, but weird at the same time. Like, I'm not gonna hug him or anything. But, all right, I'll hug him. But, dreamed of hugging him. The flannel's so soft. Anyways, but seriously, it really is a great honor, and you're in for a treat. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the hardcore legend, Mr. Mick Foley.
Foley, 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 Foley.
Right away, I know we're gonna have problems. Somebody brought every book I've ever written. You want me to sign them all, right? Let me just say it up front, okay? I'm gonna do a meet and greet after the fact, okay? You don't have to buy something to get your photo taken, all right? I'm just gonna make a promise that I will look happier. A lot happier. Much happier in the photos where a purchase has been made. But basically, we're trying to everybody gets a free autograph and a photo because I do appreciate you guys being here. This is great. Right? I'll make sure to pay all of you extra attention. A little more attention to you and the blonde hair than the guy next to you or in front of you. But I'll make sure I pay you guys attention. Everyone can see okay? Yeah. All right? Yeah. You can't see so good that you can see my set written on my left hand, can you? It's going to be a great night. I just realized we've already talked about most of my set. Balls. Cross that off the list. You know what? I do have a cool. I don't brag about too many things I do, but this is like the coolest comedy T-shirt of all time. Have you guys seen that bad boy available? I bring it up because there's only a couple more dates left on the Nights in Red Flannel World Tour. Can I see that, for example? Can I hold that up?
Give him the shirt.
The dates are listed. And so we've got Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, right here, the Starlight.
Yeah!
Right?
Woo!
And then tomorrow night in Buffalo, New York, if you look closely, it says, venue to be determined. So apparently I didn't update my printer, venue to be determined. Also on that list is a beautiful little town, Cave and Rock, Illinois, for the Gathering of the Juggalos. Yeah? You guys are aware of just what the Gathering of the Juggalos is?
Tell us.
It's a little terrifying. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit, I've been through some serious stuff, and I was a little bit terrified to show up there because I knew there was danger. Somebody was kind enough to tweet me a link of performers just being bombarded with garbage on stage. But I'd already been paid up front, and I certainly wasn't going to turn it down. But I made a couple of pit stops on my way to the airport en route to Cave and Rock, Illinois, which, by the way, is not a direct flight. No Cave and Rock International Airport. So I stopped and I bought a rain poncho to protect me from bodily fluids. And then I stopped at the lacrosse warehouse. Believe it or not, I used to be a lacrosse player, and picked up a goalie stick for the first time in like 28 years. And the guy was like, hey, Mick, you gonna play a little lax? And I was like, nope. Not that many reasons to buy a lacrosse stick, right? Its uses are somewhat limited. He goes, what are you gonna do with it? I said, just gonna catch some shit. I was like, really, what type of shit? And I said, human. Human shit. Like, I actually picture myself like making saves. Just using the poncho, turning my back, making saves, and I visualize like I used to do when I was a wrestler. Women here are going to find this hard to believe, but I'm not a great natural athlete. It wasn't a joke, okay? But I was able to visualize what I wanted to do and turn my somewhat less than stellar natural abilities into some pretty cool matches. And in the same way, I visualized myself blocking human feces and hurling it back at my tormentors at a much faster rate than it arrived. And then it turned out it was like a love it, it was like a pretty cool scene. Doing comedy at 4:30 a.m. So it's been a really cool tour. We're winding it up here. We got 2 nights left. I mean, this is the last. You guys don't count Buffalo as like Lower Canada, do you? No. No. Okay. All right. Because when I lived in a town called Navarre, Florida, that was actually officially Southern Alabama. And did you know if a man and wife get divorced in Alabama, they are still legally brother and sister?
Oh!
It's true, man. I just, talking about that lacrosse stick thing reminds me of the time I was a player, and I actually brought this up, like it's not a cool thing for a wrestler to say. I played lacrosse because it doesn't have the image of like the most manly sport, although I believe when the Native Americans or Native North Americans started playing it, like people actually died during the game, so it's cooler and tougher than it has an image of being. But there was a defining moment in my wrestling career when I was playing lacrosse. I don't know how many of you go back to like 1997. How old school are you guys here? Pretty old school? Raise your hands if you remember Mankind circuit. Not the fun-loving sock puppet Mankind, okay? But the hardcore kind of, yeah, the guy who used to rumble with the Undertaker in the boiler room. Now, Vince McMahon came to believe that my real life backstory was more interesting than the one we concocted for the character of Mankind, and he wanted to do an interview with good old JR, Jim Ross, where we kind of talked about my real background, and he wanted me to come out and talk to the TV audience like I'm talking to all of you. But back in 1997, I've been working on that character, and it was still this kind of gray area between characters and real life people, and I would still go on like the local news and do it as Mankind, do the weather as Mankind. And so I wanted to protect that character, and so we made an agreement that I would tell real stories, but I would tell them as the character. And in the case of the lacrosse story, it was a sad one. I talked about a fateful day where I'd run the laps, and even before multiple knee surgeries and considerable weight gain, I was arguably the slowest guy in the school, and so I would remove my protective cup before running the laps. And on one day in particular, I forgot to put the cup back in.
Oh, God.
It turned out to be the wrong day to make that mistake. And we picked up the interview. Here's a little 1997 Mankind, so you know what I'm talking about. Where he was discussing the aftermath of being hit in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he said, I'm going to get into character here, okay? I don't want to startle the women. It may get frightening. Jimmy, I went down like I'd been shot. But the next day, I made it to school even though my testicles were the size of grapefruits. It's the only time I can remember girls looking at my genital area. For that reason, I consider that to be the greatest day in the history of my life. Now, what you guys don't know is that I effectively just shattered an invisible boundary in television. At least in that part of North America, the United States, no one had ever used the T word before. Even a great show, critically acclaimed show called St. Elsewhere, which is a precursor to like ER and Grey's Anatomy, they did a show on testicular cancer and then were told they couldn't actually say the T word. So you had this great critically acclaimed show saying, how are you feeling, Johnny? Down there. And then I came around, a pioneer of censorship, and I shattered it. And the beneficiary was Vince McMahon, who became like a kid with a new toy. For those who don't remember, Vince, of course, is the owner of WWE, but he was at the time like a really subtle color commentator. Really subtle. What a maneuver! Didn't matter what the move was. What a maneuver! And they thought so highly of that interview I did with Jim Ross, they cut it up into like 5 parts and show it every week. And with every week's passing, people started cheering. I was a bad guy, and they started cheering for me because I guess they felt like, man, I might have life tough, but I'm doing better than that guy. People started feeling sympathetic towards me. And Vince would say, like every week for 4 weeks, he'd say, JR, we're going to hear more from Mankind. Should be interesting given that story about his testicle. And then a couple of years later, maybe just not a couple of years later, a few months later, because it was right after the Montreal screw job, which I assume all Canadians are familiar with, right? For those who don't know, and I do like this show to be welcoming to those brave enough to venture out without being wrestling fans. I want to be inclusive. The Montreal screw job refers to a match between Shawn Michaels and Canada's own Bret Hart, where Bret lost his title despite never actually losing the match. I mean, it was a screw job of epic proportions. And then Vince created the Mr. McMahon character where he claimed to be the possessor of testicles the size of grapefruits. Gimmick infringement of the first degree. The only reason I didn't do something about it? He's the boss. Yeah, exactly. Usually I don't want people stepping on my lines, but it's okay. He is the boss, man. And then now we fast forward a few years later when my wife, Colette, was pregnant with our fourth child. Had a craving for grapefruits. She dispatched me, her husband, to go get her one, which I didn't feel like doing. So I dispatched my oldest son, Dewey, to get Mom a grapefruit. The problem we had was that Dewey's diet at that time in his life consisted mainly of pizza, peanut butter and jelly, and chicken fingers. Fruits and vegetables were not high on his list of priorities. So he said, I don't really know what they are. Eating grapefruits. I said, Dewey, it's really simple. You go downstairs, you open up the refrigerator. When you see something that looks like Vince McMahon's testicles, bring it on up. He got all exasperated. He goes, Dad, I don't even know what Vince's testicles look like. It's my first ball story. Actually, I got a chance to be Mankind again for the first time in many years on a show called 30 Rock. Any 30 Rock fans out there? Yeah? 2 of you? Really? Well, it's a cool show. It's one of my favorite shows, so I was really flattered to be on it. And is this really the chair I have to sit down on? If I want to sit. Just sit on this little thing? All right. You know what? Yeah, hand me that chair, man. Because sometimes when I get tired of doing stand-up comedy, I do sit-down comedy. And if people ask you, how that wrestler was at stand-up, say, well, he didn't do stand-up. No. He did sit down. Just sat there. You're pretty easy, because this isn't really that funny. Okay. Out of respect for this young lady, I'm not going to be too funny tonight. She might overdo it. So I had a chance to be on 30 Rock, and they broke the news. They broke the news to me that they wanted me, they didn't want to hurt my feelings, but they thought that it wouldn't be funny enough if I showed up as Mick Foley. Because let's face it, Mick Foley's just a simple middle-aged hot guy. Again, not meant to be funny, all right? They asked me if I could be Mankind, because Mankind would be more of a character, and it would look more, more humorous if he showed up as Jenna, actress Jane Krakowski's new love interest, which is actually pretty cool, right? So I had my first on-air kissing scene ever. I tweeted it out, and 700 people reminded me that technically I'd had an on-air kiss of Vince McMahon's ass on national television. One positive benefit about being an author is that literally those are my books, and in my book, the Jane Krakowski kiss was the first on-air one, okay? I'm just gonna forget that other thing ever happened. Almost like it was an episode of Impact.
Oh! Oh!
For 3 years of Impact. Better just let's not refer to it, all right? Too soon to talk about it. The healing has to begin sometime, doesn't it? Okay. All right, thank you. Only problem was, I hadn't actually worn that Mankind mask in many years. Compounding that is there were actually 3 Mankind masks, an original in 1996 and 2 replacements in 1999. Unfortunately, I could only find the original, which I had to call up the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Amsterdam, New York, and ask to have back. It was on loan. I was like, hey, can I have that mask back? I'm going to be on a TV show. And instantly, when I put it on, We did our rehearsals, everything was fine. Instantly when I put it on, I was reminded of why they made 2 replacement masks in 1999. Turns out, some of you can do this as a scientific experiment if you like. If you sweat in rawhide leather for 3 straight years, it will tend to smell. So I had that on. Also, for those of you who don't remember, and I gave you a little dose of it, you know, I used to get into character. I mean, I used to really get into character. And so I decided to get into character for that episode of 30 Rock once I got the mask on. I used to go to the gym quite a bit. Didn't actually gain any strength or muscle tone there, but I thought of cool stuff to say. My wife would see me, like I'd get that far off look, and my eyes would start blinking, and my fingers, the telltale sign was the fingers would start twitching. People would start looking at me, and my wife would go up to save me, and she'd be like, "Honey, you're doing interviews again." I'd try to get back down to earth. So being on a set with a big star like Jane Krakowski is maybe not the proper time to become Mankind. When I started delivering those lines, you know, "It's great to see you too," I noticed that the rewrites started arriving, and what had been passionate kiss became a peck on the cheek, which then became a hug, thumbs up. By the time it hits the airwaves, what you will see is like the briefest wave of recognition from way across the room, like that. But even though I became Mankind again for 30 Rock, even though I did show up on WWE programming for the first time in 3.5 years, I actually felt. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for that return Raw appearance. This is your life.
Foley.
Yeah, anybody can go back and do a good segment. Take some brave men. Participate in a disaster like the one I was in on purpose. Which I actually really enjoyed. If you go back, if anyone taped it, still has it recorded, watch the music video. Like, you couldn't have picked a worse, wimpier, sappier song for a guy who was hated in his own hometown. And I thought the guy John would do almost anything, because he's a great sport and really is a good guy. But when his dad showed up with a picture of John in a Yankees outfit when he was 9, he drew the line. He's like, "You don't understand, they'll kill me." I said, "John, yeah, they were 9 years old. These people have a sense of humor." He goes, "No, they'll kill me." So there was no Yankee outfit there. But even before that grand reappearance on Raw, I kind of felt like I was home, because several months ago, even when I was working for the other guys, I was on the cover of a WWE DVD called OMG. You guys familiar with the phrase OMG? What's it stand for?
Oh my God!
No, not even close.
Oh, okay.
You're doing it the Joey Styles way. It's supposed to be, "Oh my God." That's the cover I was on. Maybe you guys are thinking of some other DVD. I was on the "Oh my God." But it wasn't "Oh my God" moment, because I was going through a table that was on fire, my body was engulfed in flames, and I was going through it with one of Canada's greatest wrestlers. One of the greatest wrestlers, period, Edge. And unlike Rob, who's a heck of a guy, I believe I could nail his girlfriend to Edge's theme song. So, Rob, are you there? Let me call Rob out here.
Give him a hug.
Yeah, Rob.
Hug.
Rob, where are you? Damn you, Rob. Come on here. Coming? Oh, he's got a board. Hey. Listen, we've been traveling together for a while, and I want to be honest with you, okay? Rob, I'm your father. Eyebrows do come from your mother's side. So Rob's here because before I talk about Edge, I want this to be like a theme show. So this is like my Canadian theme show. I want to bring up like great moments, not only in wrestling history, but Canadian wrestling history. And so I would like to recreate a great moment in Canadian wrestling history, starring Rob Malao. L is silent. What's the deal with that? What's the deal with the silent L? Rob Mayu is going to play the role of a young Chris Jericho. And
Yeah!
I am going to play the role of the Dynamite Kid when he was wrestling for Stampede Wrestling. Dynamite Kid was British, but he is best known for either his wrestling in Japan or in Calgary, where he really set that standard really, really high. And in this episode, going back many, many years, a teenage Chris Jericho is going to approach the Dynamite Kid, who is swinging back a couple cocktails after the matches in a bar in Winnipeg. And I believe it went something like this. Young Chris Jericho wants an autograph, by the way. Don't even fucking think about it!
Encore!
Wrestling history.
Encore!
That's a true story. And when I proofread Jericho's book, I was like, you need the double O's. It's got to be fucking. Because otherwise, you're just dropping a regular F-bomb. And we hear way too many of those. You got to differentiate. That's why I'm an author. Just means more with a double O. Let's all say it together. 1, 2, 3. Fucking. It's much different, man. All right. Just so you know, I don't swear that much. I try to save words like the F word. Use it as a strong action verb. Occasionally inside the Foley bedroom for added emphasis. And it's really effective in small doses. It's like a big wrestling move. You know, you don't want to go to the chair shot too often. Just want to spice it up a little bit. Okay? So I advise all you. Yep. Thanks for shouting things out. Why did I better be wearing Sacco if I talk dirty to my wife in our own bedroom? I'll deal with you later, okay, pal? All right. Okay. I guess he didn't see the no dick sign when he entered. Sorry. Let's get back to, I'm only kidding. I don't want to pick on anybody here. Let's get back to OMG. I'm on the cover of the thing. It really meant a lot to me, and seeing myself and the great Edge on the cover brought back a lot of memories for me, because that was an ultra important match. WrestleMania 22 in Chicago, Illinois. It was a lot of pressure on me, because Edge correctly pointed out, and despite what you might think you know about wrestling, most great wrestling angles work because they are very close to being real. Like, even if it's not real per se, the emotions behind them tend to be real when something's good and it sticks out. You're like, okay, I know wrestling may be entertainment, but those two don't like each other. In this case, Edge pointed out that despite my so-called legendary status, I never actually had that great match that truly identifies somebody as a legend in the wrestling business. And it was true. I had good matches, really good matches, never had that one great match. And so I was feeling the strain, man, and before that match, I went through great lengths to get myself emotionally motivated. I had a very strange choice in musical accompaniment, and I listened to that song like 6 or 7 times. And another thing you might not know about backstage at WrestleMania, there's so many things going on, they'll actually erect tents. Don't get excited by the word erect, please. Erect a tent. Not like a pup tent. A tent that you can dress in. So that the guys can kind of have a little peace and quiet without all these things going on. So I emerged from that tent, and my eyes were all wide, and I sought out Edge and his companion Lita, who were at the gorilla position. You guys aware of what the gorilla position is? For those of you, raise your hands. Anybody who is brave enough, like, to venture out with maybe a boyfriend who's not a wrestling fan, like checking this out for the first time?
I'm the only one.
You're the only one? Where are you?
Right here.
Are you having fun so far?
For sure.
So it's kind of like, I might as well have somebody signing for the one person who can't hear. So when I'm going out of my way to explain what everything is, I'm doing that for you. Which I don't mind, because even though the lighting's not good, you look pretty good. I don't mind doing it for you, okay? The gorilla named after Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer
Monsoon.
Gorilla Monsoon. It's the place, like, you know when Toto draws back the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, and the guy goes, "Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain." The wizard is actually in the gorilla position there. It's like the go-to position. And I think there's no more touching tribute to somebody than to name a position for them. So I should point out, you might not know this, I used to be a missionary. They named that for me. And I walked up to Edge and Lita, and the eyes were wide. And I looked right in Edge's eyes, and I said, "I think we should say a prayer for our safety out there tonight." Edge looked at me like I was crazy. What I probably should have said was, "I don't think we should do some of the stupid shit we talked about." It might have been easier. But instead I went with, "I think we should say a prayer for our safety out there." It's the most surprised I've been by words leaving my own mouth since I'd asked a hitchhiker to jerk me off while I drove. It's a long time ago. Long time ago. And let me stress here, okay? For those who don't know me, it was not Al Snow hitchhiking, okay? I would have done more than a simple hand job to get away from me, right? Now, again, everyone else knows who I am and knows about me and knows some things, all right? So for the sake of the young lady, just to look really, really good, do you have a smartphone?
I do.
All right. On the way home, or you can even do it here, and then when you come up with the answer, you can vouch for me. You can Google the words hardcore legend, Hell in a Cell, and feminist, and my name comes up.
Yeah!
Swear to God. So I'm proud of the work I do. Proud of the work I do that helps mainly women. You're going to Google it, right?
I will.
Okay, thanks. And then let me know when you have an answer so we can prove it. Prove I'm not a liar. Okay? So with that in mind, I just want to assure everybody here that the whole hand job thing was merely a suggestion. Yeah, there was no pressure whatsoever on it. I was just like floating it out there as a way to pass the time. You want to jerk me off like that? It was either that or I Spy. What else can you do to pass the time? Drive? Yeah. Well, I was going to be driving. Just going to be entertained while I did it. And she took it as such. She wasn't offended. She was like now? I was like, what do you think? She goes, "Oh man, I'd really like to." Because we had chemistry, I should point that out. Like we've been driving for a while, we were getting to know each other. And we liked what we saw. So it wasn't just out of the blue. She didn't hop in and I said, "Hey." I mean, it was classy, right? And she said, "Oh, I'd really like to. But I think that might be disrespectful to my boyfriend, who I should probably point out was sleeping in the back seat of my car."
Oh!
She said, "Oh, really? How long have you guys been together?" And she said, "Well, we just met earlier today." About a half an hour later, the long-term boyfriend awoke in the cracked burgundy interior of my piece of crap 79 Ford Fairmont. And he asked the question of his girlfriend. She turned around to answer it. And as she did so, she simultaneously reached out and grabbed a hearty handful of the hardcore legend's most private part. And she squeezed twice. I remember so vividly thinking, like even while she was addressing that question, that it was a beautiful victory. Please keep in mind, my victories with women were so few and far between at that time. It's changed a little bit, but not that much. And I decided to count it as an immoral, moral victory. Back to the match. After we held hands and said a prayer for our safety, Edge and I proceeded to go out and tear the building down. You would have thought the
Yeah!
would have been happy, but the building had been torn down. Next time you're in Chicago, look for it. It's gone. Torn down. I also knew that when that match was over, after I'd gone through the table that was engulfed in flames, smelling the potpourri of my own charred hair, burnt flesh, and forearm hair. Like, I have hairy forearms. Everything from the athletic tape down remained covered in hair. Everything on up, completely gone. Like a really ugly baby's bottom. And I knew I was under direct orders. I knew the first thing I had to do was call home to assure my wife that I was okay. Ever since we'd met, every single time there was a pay-per-view, I was under direct orders to call home. It was a point I had obeyed every single time with one exception, which was a pretty big exception. It was a little match known as Hell in a Cell.
Yeah!
I'll explain what that is in just a second. There was a pretty good reason why I didn't call home. I was unconscious. And I'm not talking about one of those referee Earl Hebner type of unconsciouses either, where he gets hit in the corner and just goes lifeless. You guys know who Earl Hebner is, here?
Yeah!
Earl Hebner was the referee in the ring when Brett was screwed.
Boo!
And just so you know, he wasn't literally
He screwed
screwed.
Fred! He screwed
He
Fred!
screwed Brett. Ladies and gentlemen, special guest tonight, Earl Hebner.
Bring it!
That, I did have a reason to not call home, because I wasn't. I know I said I usually use the F word as only an action verb. I'm going to use it a throwaway adjective here. I was fucked up. I had a tooth stuck where? In my nose. In my nose. And I remember vividly, if you guys go back and watch that DVD, and I know by the looks of you guys and the lack of female accompaniment, most of you have seen that match many, many times. Am I right? All right. I know it's just a boys' night out. Wives are at home, right? Okay, but for those of you for whom that is not the case, check it out and you'll see the scariest part of the match is not when I get thrown off the cell or get choke slammed through the cell accidentally, or a chair that was up on top of the cell came and hit me in the face, which caused that aforementioned tooth sticking out of my nose. The scariest part of the match is when I try to get to my feet after both of those and I can't quite do it. I just kind of crumble down. I'm going to give you a little wrestler insider knowledge, and I can only hope that what happens in Waterloo stays in Waterloo, okay? Because even if you have a camera phone on me, I'm going to deny it. I will be the Herman Cain of professional wrestling. You guys know Herman Cain?
Yeah!
Good guy. The fact that he is a serious candidate for U.S. president tells you all you need to know about my country. I know. Even though he stepped down, he might still win the popular vote. Herman Cain just threw me off my stride here. Oh yeah, some stuff I don't want anybody to know. Camera phones down, please, out of respect for what I've done in my career. The Undertaker leaned down and he said to me the following words. Go home. Go home is wrestle speak for this match is over. Despite my weary state, despite the fact that I only recently regained consciousness, I remember vividly thinking to myself, listen here, you son of a bitch.
Yeah!
I don't care how big you are, what you've done, how long your streak is at WrestleMania. Nobody tells me when to go home.
Yeah!
If anything, I'll be the one to tell you when it's time to go home. And I swear to you, that's exactly what I was thinking. What I actually said was more along the lines of, Did I mention I was fucked up? Seriously, man. And then I somehow managed to knock him off the top rope, and I got the chance to like sit in the corner. There's a kind of iconic shot of me, and where it looks like I'm smiling, and you can really see that tooth in the nose. I was not smiling. Do you know the story behind this? Yeah. I actually realized I had a gaping hole underneath my lip. Despite the fact that I just recently regained consciousness, I had the presence of mind and the intestinal fortitude to realize that if I could just stick my tongue through that gaping hole and wriggle it around, I would be the creator of quality television.
Yeah!
You laughed there, okay. I thought I was losing you. I thought you were holding your stomach. Okay, you having fun? All right, good. And then I called home after about 4 hours when Dave Hebner and told me my wife was very upset. Dave Hebner being the brother of referee Earl Hebner, who did indeed screw Brett. And my wife said to me, "You can't do this to us. We thought you were dead." The children were crying. They thought their father had died. Following that day, the first thing I did, no matter how badly messed up I was, I went to a phone and I called home. Something that was quite problematic after that OMG match because I was like the last guy in the entire continent of North America to own a cell phone. So I had to work my way through the crowd with the potpourri of charred hair, flesh, stale blood, call home and heard my wife say the following words: "Is Edge okay?" Is Edge okay? I was like, what the hell do you mean? Is Edge okay? And then if you go back and watch that, you'll see that it was understandable. Ed was like more messed up than I was. I was just like curled up in the fetal position, bleeding and burning. He was like in shock, His hands were twitching like this, so it was fully understandable. But that was my welcome back to WWE, and I thought it was a very nice one. Thank you for listening. I'm Nick Foley. Thank you very much. You guys would have applauded if that was the whole set. I could leave and you would think that was cool?
No!
All right, man. Okay. I was just testing the waters here. All right. Testing the waters. You want more? Okay.
Shut up.
All right. Talking and testing the waters is like politics, U.S. politics. I don't know if you guys are going to be into it or not, but I will admit that a few years ago when the presidential race seemed really, really important, and I thought the U.S. was heading down a wrong path, I volunteered for Senator Obama's presidential campaign. And you can clap if you want. You can boo too.
Boo!
Right? I think the important thing is that I got involved. Whether you think one way or another, important thing is both our countries are kind of sort of democracies, right? And it's important to get involved, right? So I got involved, and I wanted to do it at a grassroots level, partially because, I did want to be there, like registering people, wanted to do it beneath the radar. Also, I didn't want to embarrass, the senator. Like, I didn't want the local news going, "Oh, watch out, he's got a pro wrestler campaigning for him." It'd be humiliating, right? But I went out there door to door, and I knocked on doors, and I tried to register people to vote. Did it for a couple hours, and then a door opened up. A woman of color looked at me, and she said, "You're the nigger that got thrown out the motherfucking cell."
Foley! 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 Foley!
I looked like one of those Charles Dickens Christmas carolers, right? I finally just turned to her and I was like, "I've never been called that before." Of course, due to my efforts in Pennsylvania, Obama became the president, and everything's been great. It hasn't been great, and part of the reason why is he's in desperate need of a professional wrestler on his staff. Under his watch, the Navy SEALs hunted down, killed Osama bin Laden. Right? Which is pretty cool. And I know that, you Canadians were with us through that whole Iraq thing. You were. Oh, I knew it was one of the two. I'm actually thinking of Herman Cain, who congratulated Canada on joining us in Iraq. He's like, you got 1 out of 2, man. U.S. politics, 1 out of 2 ain't bad these days. But he said, in the press conference, said, we need to get back to the challenges facing the American people. And I threw up my hands. I went, no, you don't. Now is not the time to go about facing the challenges the American people have. Now is the time to go about bragging about what you've done for the next 2 years. President Bush would have done it. He would have had T-shirts. He would have walked out for the State of the Union with a T-shirt that said, "Who got him?" Turned around, it would have said, "You got him." And that's because President Bush is a wrestling fan and President Obama is not, as evidenced by the fact that every wrestler knows that if you have 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 or 5, the first thing you do is remind people why they're supposed to like you. Bret Hart would get on the microphone and say what?
The best there was, the best there ever will be.
Ric Flair would get on the microphone and say what?
Woo!
And I'm a limousine riding.
They're flying. Stealing,
wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. I'm going to cut you some slack because it is, after all, Waterloo.
Oh.
Triple H would say,
I am the game.
he's got like 8 different phrases. But the point is, every time you grab a microphone, you go about telling people why they should care about you, and therefore why they should vote for you 2 years down the road. Thoroughly embarrassed by the actions of President Obama. You know how they say you should always make sure your underwear is clean in case you get in an accident and die. You don't want to die with a dirty pair of underwear. Likewise, you never want to be caught on a golf course when you receive a phone call there's been an earthquake in your country. The only way to ensure you are never on a golf course when you get that phone call is to never be on a golf course. It's that simple, right? But presidents are under the impression that golfing is cool, when it most clearly is not. But yet, when President Obama had a chance to get a real honest-to-goodness photo opportunity when he was playing basketball, caught an elbow in the eye that required 8 stitches, they banned the cameras. And I'm saying, this is so fucked up. Because playing golf is not cool in the least little bit, but getting stitched up, not by a plastic surgeon. I would call the most basic medical patient and say, I want some Frankenstein stitches. And I want it on national television. I will walk out when the stitching is half done with that needle dangling from my eyebrow and say, I need to address the American people. I would like to impart my wisdom on him, to him. But he won't return my calls, that son of a bitch. Also, sir, you and I may have a difference here because we do know, and I know this is heavy political territory and I can understand why people might be offended, okay? By the way, did you Google hardcore legend Hell in a Cell? And did my name pop up?
It for sure did.
You look at me a little differently now. I'm not disagreeing that waterboarding created evidence that helped catch Osama bin Laden, right? The United States or their allies, they waterboarded this Khalid Sheikh Mohammed 88 times until he divulged some information that was helpful in catching Osama bin Laden. I didn't even know what waterboarding was at first. I thought it was something where they take the guy behind a boat and kind of drag him in a pair of ill-fitting, like, see-through type of gym shorts. That Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, he was kind of fat and hairy. And I thought the dragging behind the boat would create kind of a wedgie, and that he would like get up and you could see his privates. He'd be, oh, look at him, how embarrassing is that? And he'd be like, okay, I'll tell you, just don't embarrass me anymore. At the same time, the New York Post, which is kind of a sensationalist type of newspaper, had a picture of Saddam Hussein in his jail cell wearing a pair of underwear. It was clear that Saddam had not been to the gym lately, as evidenced by the headline the butcher of Sagdad.
Oh. Ooh.
Really? 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 Like, I know he killed a lot of people, but the butcher of Sagdad, that's like taking a step too far. But waterboarding is not about humiliation, it's about simulated drowning. The idea of making a human being feel like they're drowning to the point where they give that information to stop that terrible thing from happening. And I'm not doubting it worked. I'm just claiming that in my experience, I believe things would have happened faster. Information would have been divulged more quickly and more reliably if we had just simply taken one aquatic sounding adventure, waterboarding, and substituted another aquatic sounding adventure, motorboating. I know of which I speak. I know of which I speak. Because at a house show, a TNA Impact house show in Germany, after a match, I sang a love song in German to Karma, also known as Awesome Kong. Learned all the words. Du, du, liebst mir in Herzen, du. It ends with the words, Weiß nicht wie gut ich dir bin, which means, don't you know how good we could be? And then the refrain, the audience all chanting along. I turn my back and they all sing, ja, 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 ja. Let's do it. Ja, 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 ja. Weiß nicht wie gut ich dir. She ran me over. Awesome Kong knocked me to the ground and left me laying. Humiliated. Then I saw Brother Ray, who we'll call for old time's sake, Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yeah!
For many years. Bringing out the beautiful female wrestler, Velvet Sky, to assist me and bring me back to my feet and cheer me up. But Bubba kind of called it audible, and he said the following word to Velvet. He said, motorboat him. And I said, what? And Velvet said, what? And Bubba got mad. He said, I said motorboat him. I knew I shouldn't have done it. I could have claimed that the song to Awesome Kong was just part of the show, was some good old-fashioned fun, and my wife would have understood. But now I knew I was in a situation where a beautiful young lady was about to hit me in rapid-style fashion with her breasts to my face. And I found myself powerless to stop the assault. I also knew, because it was a TNA house show, that there were literally dozens of witnesses. And yet I was powerless. She beat me over and over again. Reminded me when I used to wrestle Vader, and Vader would club me in the forearms. He would come like, but you can kind of get a rhythm. You can get with the blows. Oh, okay, still the camera. Okay. Don't want to get angry. I think I can clear that and jump on you. Okay.
Yeah!
Axl Rose did it, man. He jumped down, he used to attack people. But I could find a way to kind of give with the blows, but then Vader would change it up and he'd hit you like 3 times in a row with one hand. Then I used to hate it. I couldn't wait for it to end. Velvet Sky was doing the exact same thing to me with her breasts. I didn't hate it at all. I never wanted it to end. And when it did end suddenly and tragically, I realized that I had an entirely new definition of torture. That I wish our higher-ups, the chain of command, would understand that torture is not something terrible you do to a person with the threat of doing again. Torture is something absolutely glorious you do with the threat of never doing it again. Some of you may have heard of my legendary thriftiness. These rumors drifted to these shores.
We're landlocked.
It's a fairly well-deserved reputation. But despite that fact, when she walked away, I would have given half of everything I'd ever owned.
Oh!
To make sure it never, ever stopped. People there in Germany, the dozens and dozens of TNA fans, saw an instant transformation in me. They They saw the man who had walked in as the hardcore legend, survivor of Hell in a Cell, countless Japanese death matches, had suddenly transformed into Kate Winslet at the end of the Titanic. You know that part of the movie as she watches Leo DiCaprio drift tragically, quite handsomely, to the bottom of the frigid North Atlantic. She just looks at him and says, "Come back." Don't ever stop beating me in the face with those things.
40, 40.
It's true. It's true. Look, man, I'm going to tell you the truth. I try to stand up for what I believe in. We have it on good faith that my name shows up when you Google the words hardcore legend, Hell in a Cell, and feminist, right? Clearly, I've taken a stand, and one of the reasons, and you can tweet this if you want, not, one of the reasons I left TNA is I wasn't quite comfortable with the way they depicted women. And I made my voice known. My opinion was very clear. Also, some of you may not know, but after the Montreal screw job, I quit the WWF. How many of you knew that? I walked out, did not come back to work the next day until my wife read me my contract, realized I breached it, and would not be permitted to make a dime anywhere in the world for the next 5 years. I crawled back on my hands and knees, was accepted back into the fold. But I stood up for what I believed in for almost 24 hours.
Yeah! 40.
Despite that fact, 21 years of marriage, I've never actually won an argument with my wife. Not even close. And I think that's because it's close. I think it's because she's got big fucking tits. Big fucking tits. Powerless. Escape. The fucking tits thing make me do things I don't want to do. Look at how I'm dressed. I haven't bought myself a present in 14 years. But those fucking tits make me buy things I don't want to buy. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and name brand cereals. Which makes absolutely no sense because it's the same stuff at twice the price. What's the point? If I can't stand up to a set of breasts slapping me in the face, my wife's tits. 21 years, I'm not tired of those things, not even remotely close. Nobody else is safe from breasts either. I need to go to Washington and give them the simple formula. It's not WMDs, but BFTs.
Yeah!
Finally, lead to WFP. Big fucking tits equals world fucking peace. Thank you. Anybody have something to drink, like water? I just gave a lot more of myself than I was planning on doing. Thanks, Rob. Thanks. And, we gotta wrap it up? Tell me we gotta wrap it up?
Oh!
We gotta wrap it up, man.
Ooh! Screw job!
I still got good stuff to talk about here. All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Another Chief Bob.
You know what? Somebody already beat you to it. Ever since I was younger, I mean, from the time, way before the time when I hitchhiked to Madison Square Garden to see Jimmy Superfly stuck inside a steel cage in 1983. Did everybody see okay? You can see all right? All right. Did she leave? The one who You scared her with it?
Just getting a beer.
Okay. I'm going to seek you out and see what you thought about the show. Purely as a social experiment, not because you're smoking. But I was always drawn to the responses. A guy like Kurt Angle was drawn to being the best in the world, no matter what. I was always drawn to trying to get reactions. Whether it was being the kid in high school who ate weird things, which I can tell you is not the way to go if you want to have some type of dating life in high school, or whether it was doing some strange things, in wrestling, some big moves, or doing something ridiculous like singing "Dreidel, Dreidel, Dreidel" on SmackDown. It's always been about getting those reactions, and I realize, like, even when I look at Hollywood movies, which I love, I'm more drawn to the reactions than I am the actions, even when it's a tremendous action movie. For example, probably my favorite movie of all time is the original Rocky. The original Rocky is very emotional, and there's that 14th round always gets to me when Rocky finally hits the deck, and common sense and the limits of human endurance are telling you this guy's got to stay down, but yet he's fighting up, he's struggling to get to his feet, and it's really emotional. But yet it's the shot of Adrian standing in the aisle wearing that red hat and closing her eyes that always gets me. They play that music, and I get goosebumps up and down my hairy forearms. Well, how many of you have seen the movie The Green Mile? You guys have seen The Green Mile? I'm not afraid to say that one gets me, man. There's that scene where that scumbag little guard Percy, he just boom stomps on Dell's mouse, right? He actually grinds his foot so you can hear the little guy's vertebrae cracking. And you hear Dell say, "You son of a bitch!" And there's no hope whatsoever for that mouse until you hear the voice of John Coffey say, "Bring him to me, boss." He puts that mouse in his hand, and that little tail starts just wriggling just a little bit. And I'm in my family living room. I'm fighting back tears. I'm successful because according to Mick Foley house rules, a tear is only a tear if it actually leaves the eye. I'm really fighting back those tears. But then they go to the reaction shot of David Morse, character actor, as prison guard, Brutal, and he's like, "Holy shit." And those tears just start flowing freely. It's the reaction shot. But of all the movies that have touched me, maybe none has done so more than that reaction shot, that great scene in The Karate Kid, where Daniel comes to understand that he's learned the secrets, the ancient art of karate. Not karate, karate, without even realizing it. He thought Mr. Miyagi had him doing his household chores. Remember that? He even yelled at him. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm out of here. I haven't learned nothing." And he learns, right? He learns because he's painted the fence, right? And waxed on, he's waxed off, he's sanded the floor. And he just looks at his hands, and that's when everybody gets emotional. I don't care who you are, man, woman, or child, you can't help but feel emotional. It's done that right way. I've often wondered how things would have worked out for Daniel if he hadn't been lucky enough to have lived in an apartment complex with a handyman who just happened to have odd jobs that needed being done around his house that would teach him the ancient art of karate. I wonder, how would things have worked out for Daniel if Mr. Miyagi had been involved in a different form of activity, like if he'd been the proprietor of a seedy massage parlor. I can't do this on my own, so I've asked a friend, a guy I used to wrestle with. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
Stone Cold Steve Austin, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing, Mick? Mick no longer here, only Mr. Miyagi, Stone Cold style.
Mr. Miyagi, how are you doing, son?
Miyagi fine. Want to know how karate coming, Stone Cold son?
Mr. Miyagi, I don't appreciate the fact you're making me talk in front of all these people right now. But the bottom line is, you had me in here for the last 6 weeks, jerking guys off, left, right, and center. I mean, this ain't a job Stone Cold Steve Austin likes to do. I've been jerking these stinking son bitches off. These big, dirty, smelly, these guys do not wash before they come here. And I want to know what the hell Miyagi is Stone Cold learning right now.
Austin! 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 Woo!
Stone Cold son, everything not as seems. Stone Cold, look eyes. Look eyes, Stone Cold son. Look eyes, show Miyagi. Work the shaft. Work the shaft, Danielson.
I look eyes, but don't look at me. Don't look at me. You want me to work the shaft? Okay, I'll work the damn shaft. Don't you people close your eyes. There you go. Like that? A little bit like that, huh? Oh, watch this. Don't you dare watch this. You're throwing a little tickle, Miyagi? A little sensation? Wow. You like that, Miyagi?
Miyagi like very much. But Daniel-san, you have something wrong. Miyagi wants you to work big shaft. Big shaft. Left hand stroke. Whew. Miyagi have right hand, left hand mixed up. Left hand. Right hand. Bigger. Bigger. This is not our stove.
Maybe it's Dustin Rhodes. Is that good, Mr. Miyagi? Look, I'm doing it. The shot.
Stone Cold son look like he's skiing French Alps there. Very good, very good. Now, Stone, that's enough. No work shaft no more. Now, show Miyagi. You ladies look kind of disgusted. Maybe they need to Google hardcore legend feminists. Regain a tiny bit of respect for me. Now show me. Spread the ass.
Listen, Miyagi, I don't know what the hell you're trying to do to me in front of all these people, but I ain't gonna spread the ass. Are you serious? You want me to actually spread the ass in front of these people?
What?
Miyagi say if you want to see Stone Cold spread ass, give him a hell yeah. Hell yeah! Miyagi think they want to see Stone Cold spread the ass.
All right, since they all want to see it, since you taught me this, Mr. Miyagi, I'll show it to them all. Here goes, spread of the ass, okay? There, take the big left cheek, take that big sumbitch in the right cheek. Spread of the ass. You spread of the ass. You put it in. Oh, the hot little worm, right?
What you doing? What the hell you think you're doing?
The hot little worm, like you told me. Like you told me, the hot
No, not spread ass this time. Maybe later on you come Miyagi's house, worm tongue a little bit there. But in karate, Stone Cold, you spread big ass, right hand. Excellent, left hand.
Come on.
Work Work shaft right hand.
Work shaft right hand.
Work shaft left hand.
Work shaft left hand.
Spread ass left hand. Spread ass right hand. Work shaft left. Work shaft right. I left my flute music at home, or else. This is Jason Sensation.
Jason!
Those of you who don't
Jason!
remember, Jason was one of the highlights of the Attitude Era in the late 90s. What we're going to do now, that's how we finish, man. It's like wrestling. Once you hit that big move, we can't take it any higher than that. Or any lower, depending on how you look at it, all right? So we're going to do a little Q&A here. No, I didn't say TNA.
Oh!
But we're done with TNA jokes.
Yeah.
So we're going to sit down. If you guys have a few questions, I know we're running a little bit late, and we do have a meet and greet afterwards. But if you guys have a few questions, you want to hear Jason do a particular voice, I bet you he'd be willing to do it. They want to hear a little Owen Hart, which is my favorite, by the way. My favorite. You know what? I know Jason was with me last night, and he did an Owen Hart, and he was really, really respectful, which was great because Smith was there. But I think we all love the part where you satirize Owen, and you kind of talk. You remember when you came out with you had the big nose on? I think it's a tribute to one of the nicest people I ever met, and it's one of the funniest things. Jason's gonna give you a little bit of that Owen Hart, and I hope you guys will love it.
Thank you very much for that. Actually, you know what? I thought about this after the show we did last night, and I thought, you know, it was one of my favorite ever Owen Hart promos. Oh, thank you. It's that glue, I don't know. There we go.
Jason will tell you, like 12 or 13 years ago, I was just starting to talk to American universities, and I wasn't doing comedy. And obviously, some of what I did tonight wasn't actually comedy either. I wanted to reenact a story in my book, Have a Nice Day, known as the Cookie Story, that involved me and Stone Cold back when he was studying Steve Austin and Diamond Dallas Page. And when I saw Jason doing these imitations in 1998, was it 98 or 99? 98. I was like, man, sometime it would have been 99 when my book came out, when I would have told him this. I was like, sometime I want you to come on the road with me and do a little Stone Cold or Diamond Dallas Page. Because of whatever messed up visa issues, you know, prevented Jason from going into the U.S. I had to wait until I came back here, but about 4 months ago, as soon as I found out I'd be going to Canada, I got in touch with Jason for many years. I was like, hey, would you come do a couple shows with me? So he did last night in Toronto, tonight. And he actually bought, like, the really good bald wig. Like, he didn't have to get a character at all, but he bought the really good bald wig. And so I did reimburse him. So it's kind of hard when he's got that ridiculous mustache on, but he's going to give you a little Owen Hart right now, okay?
Again, yeah, it's such an honor and a pleasure to be a part of your show, Mick. And it's seriously, you know, you hear a lot of things when you're in that state and you're in that, you know, place. And, you know, I was in 15 minutes of fame, living my dream, and I heard a lot of promises from a lot of people, and it's been a long time, I swear. You know, that 15 minutes of fame still lives in the back of my head. So to get a tweet a few months ago from Mick saying, yeah, 13 years ago, I'm keeping my word, coming on the road, really means a lot.
It's true, I said yes. The good news is you're going to be on the road with me. Bad news, you're going to be jerking some people off.
Okay, I thought about doing this last night. You know, it was my favorite interview. It was my favorite Owen Hart promo of all time. And it was just before WrestleMania when he was just about to wrestle you. So I thought it'd be fitting. Let's do this interview. All right, here it goes. This is for you, Owen. Thanks for that 15 minutes of fame. You made me proud. Thank you. You guys.
Woo! I did it again! And I have nobody to thank. Once again, I did it all by my sweet little self. 2-time Slammy Award winner. I'm a better be in for the fight of your life because the Bulldog and myself, we haven't been better ever. And you don't have two slammies like I do because you're losers and we're winners. Me and my slammies!
We should just leave right now. Cool, leaving it there. And we want a couple questions, and we'll make sure we get another Jason interview in. We'll take a couple questions. All right, what is it? You kind of do Mankind, right? Yeah. All right, yeah, give me a little Mankind.
Hey, Jason, in 13 years, you're going to be stone cold on my comedy show, and we're going to have a nice day. Bang, bang!
Very good. Any other questions? Take a couple.
Do CM Punk?
I don't think he does punk. Does a good Undertaker.
Yeah, cook it up.
Does a great, and it's hard to do a great Bret Hart because Bret was so laid back. Would you give him a little Bret? I just think it's amazing when he does Bret because Bret doesn't seem like a guy that would be easy to impersonate, and he does such an amazing job.
Well, everybody here knows that I am, without a doubt, the best there is, the best there was,
And the best there ever will be.
And you know it.
Yes, sir. He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke. Okay. Watch Stone Cold. I'm just repeating it for people who can't. Stone Cold Steve Austin DVD.
What's the question? How was that going through that process?
Oh, he wants to know what the questioning was like. You know, it was really nice because even though I'd been on the OMG DVD, I actually WWE got in touch with me the day that I was officially parted ways with Impact. Despite what I joke around, they really were a good group, and sorry that things ended a little bit testily, but things had ended that way between me and WWE also. And so it was really nice that on the first day I was gone, I got a call first from Howard Finkel asking if I could participate in an article for WWE.com, and then I got a call from WWE Video asking if I could participate in Stone Cold's video and Edge's video. And even though they were willing to come to my house, I asked if I could go to the studio. I only live about an hour and a half from Stanford because for my kids, my younger kids who were huge WWE fans, it was like going to a theme park. And they walked away, like they don't know it, but they walked away with all of this year's Christmas presents. And it was really cool. I mean, it was really cool to be back there, and I thought I had some pretty good insight. You know, to be honest, like we watch a lot of the DVDs at home as a family. I was getting a little tired of seeing the same guys in every DVD. You know, they grab guys who are not that busy at the TV tapings. They do a really good job, but after a while, they're the same guys. And I'd been there during Stone Cold's, not only the height of his stardom, but I'd been there, when he was struggling and starting out. I actually saw his very first workout. When I sat up in what they call the crow's nest in World Class Championship Wrestling in Dallas and watched Steve Austin with the long blonde hair. And he clearly stood out from everybody just on that day. So it was a great experience. I believe my hair was quite a bit longer, right? I got the haircut, don't know if you know about this, I got a call from ABC Television asking if I'd be interested in doing a show called Celebrity Wife Swap.
Oh!
I was upset. I was like, you expect me to jeopardize my family, to trivialize my relationship with my wife, and exploit my children for financial gain? And I said, tell you what, you throw in a free haircut, and I'm there. But it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. Any other questions? Wait, let me see. Just want to scour the audience and see our fan who was not, or our friend here was not a wrestling fan. Any questions that spring to mind?
I don't know.
And I guess I did answer the question that was on your mind. I am married. Yes, sir. Am I going to break the Undertaker's streak?
Yeah! Whoa!
An 8-year-old asked me the same thing like 4 months ago. I walked in and he was like, waiting for me. He's like, Dad, are you going to break the streak? I said, son, I'm working on a WrestleMania streak of my own. I haven't won one of those in 11 years. And then the same little guy, Huey, just about 3 weeks ago, he got into some photos of Dad that I wish he hadn't seen. I think you know what I mean. Right after I lost my ear in Munich, Germany. And it was like the blood was streaming down the side of my head, but I had this little gleam in my eye because I was in the one occupation where losing your ear is not necessarily a bad thing. It's like, wow, they can do an angle about this. And then they didn't. I haven't been able to wear sunglasses since 1980. He saw that ear and he said, does it hurt? Can you hear? I said, what? Can you hear? I said, what? He got up in my ear and he went, Dad, can you hear me? I said, you have to speak up. I've only got one ear. And then he literally yelled, Dad! Yes, son, I can hear you. But I really don't think I'm going to be breaking any streaks, you know. I don't know if I'll get that opportunity. I might be on the list of people, but I doubt I'm at the top of that list, you know. I mean, I don't think people would look at me and think I have a chance, even though I do have the best overall record in history. I've been working on 2 streaks simultaneously. So got a streak in my. Did anybody see my tweet about the underwear?
Yeah, we all
Anybody
did.
bring me clean underwear? I'm dying here, even by my standards. It's been a while.
You!
Properly planned for this trip. So you saw that I was in need of underwear.
We thought you were
Did
kissing.
not bring it to me.
Okay.
Remember when I said you didn't have to make a purchase in order to get an autograph?
No.
I'm gonna make an exception for you.
No! I'll be good.
You get nothing.
Sorry.
All right.
Don't kill me.
Any last probing questions?
Right here.
Where? All right. Okay. Go ahead. Your turn.
All right. I saw a fight where your wife and children were in the audience.
Yes.
And you were very upset.
Okay, so we're gonna end this out by opening up a really painful wound. I believe the Starlight has shakers of salt. If you just want to pour that shaker of salt into that open wound.
My question would actually be, did they go through a lot of your fights, or?
What did they go? Not after that, they didn't. That was pretty traumatic. To tell you a little 30 Rock story, Judah Friedlander, who's a friend of mine, and then we're going to finish up with Jason. Jason, pick out like a really good fitting final. A little.
Rock. Ric Flair.
Flair, we'll go off a little Flair.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll go off a little Flair. Judah was showing me around the set of 30 Rock about a year ago. He's like, yeah, I'm going to introduce you to Alec. Alec being Alec Baldwin, who plays Jack Donaghy on the show. I was like, I didn't really want to meet Alec Baldwin, you know? And he's like, yeah, Alec's really kind, he's really generous, he's really cool. I was like, kind and generous and cool are not like 3 adjectives I would have thought would apply to Alec Baldwin. But Judah knocked on his door, and he's like, Alex, Judah, I got a friend with me. And the boy said, just a minute. And literally 60 seconds later, out came Alec Baldwin. And I'm not saying this like in a metrosexual way, but he was like the best looking guy I'd ever seen in my life. And then he dropped like 5 F-bombs. He was holy fuck. Fuck, holy shit. That's part of the reason it's hard for me to explain to my kids why words are bad when people always seem so happy when they're saying them. They're like, holy shit, oh fuck, fucking, holy, oh shit. The 2 toughest things, how to explain that, right, to your kids, that words are bad and people are so happy to say them, and then how to differentiate between 2 farmers. One of them has a dog named Bingo, spelled B-I-N-G-O, and then another farmer named McDonald has a farm spelled E-I-E-I-O. Parenting is tough work.